It's been 1 year since I installed my Dobinsons MRR kit on this Tacoma you see behind me, my baby back here. So, I said baby back. I want my baby back. Okay, hold up. Anyways, it's been 1 year since I installed that suspension on this truck back here, and I figured it's time to do a 1-year review. Do I still like it? Am I looking to upgrade? Let's hop into this. So to give you a little bit of a background here of the kit I'm using, we already covered it's the Dobinsons MRR kit, and I opted for the teal springs because it matches really good. But I'm also running the heaviest springs in the front here. The reason why I did that was I got this big steel front bumper. This is steel. It's not hybrid. It's not hybrid aluminum. It's not just aluminum. Solid steel. I don't have a winch in it yet, but plans to have one in the future. I also have a lot of weight up here in the front because I'm a big boy, but I also had 8 gallons of water mounted up there on the roof. And when I would hit the brakes during driving, it would come forward. So I wanted heavy springs in the front to compensate for the weight I was driving around with. Now I say was because originally this whole truck was designed to live out of full time. Sorry to the guys who've been here for a while and hear me say this all the time, but for the new people here, I did design this truck to live out of full time. We did that for 7 months. Check out the old videos in the past, but that's why this truck is designed with that in mind, since that seems really oddly specific about worrying about water on the top of your truck. Kind of weird. Also in the front here, I do have the upper control arms from Dobinson, and I'm also running the front diff drop from them as well. So basically the full Dobinson kit there. And when we installed the suspension up here, we removed the front sway bar. And that's been removed ever since we installed this over a year ago. And I can't even tell it's been gone. The adjustability that the Dobinsons have allow me to stiffen up the front end so I don't really feel that body roll that you would really feel if you think, you know, in your head, I'm sure a lot of people think that if you don't have a sway bar, the first turn you take on the road, you're going to be tumbling. But with me being able to stiffen up the front end, I don't really tell I don't have a sway bar. It works really good because I can just hop right out of the truck, tone down all my suspension, make it extremely soft when I'm going off-roading, and then crank it back up when I'm going on-road to compensate for not having a sway bar. So that is still doing really well, and I'm a big fan of that. Having that adjustability has been, you know, I hate to say this, but kind of a game changer. So I'm still loving the Dobinsons up here in the front end. Everything is holding up really well. I'm a big fan of that. And I do live in PA, and I want to mention that because I just want to talk about the quality of this Dobinson kit. Now, PA is in the Rust Belt. We have salty snow winters. It sucks. You can't keep anything nice here. I do try to get my truck undercoated once a year. This is the first year I've had it undercoated with the Dobinsons on. But I talked to my guy who does my undercoating, and I asked him to please stay away from the suspension, like the reservoirs and stuff like that, only because I'm not sure if I put that thick grease on, if I'm still going to be able to turn my stuff. It'll get all greasy and grimy. So I asked him to stay away from that, and he did. So the suspension components are still holding up very well. I'll show you some close-ups of, you know, some concerns I'm seeing with being in the Rust Belt, but it's not as bad as you would think. And I actually thought it would be, you know, looking a little bit worse than what it is now. But we'll go over the whole suspension, the quality at the end of this after we talk about the rear. Now in the rear, I'm also running the Dobinsons MRR kit, but I am running the heaviest leaf pack from Dobinson. That's a 800-pound leaf pack. Yes. Don't quote me on that, but yes, I'm 70% sure it's an 800-pound leaf pack. It's whatever heaviest one Dobinson offered at the time. I'm pretty sure it's still the same. So this worked really good for when we were living out of the truck. As you can see, I got a bed rack on there, I have a tent, and I had a deck system that was full of gear. And I don't mean gear like, you know, a small hammock and stuff like that. I had about 70 pounds of tools in there, and I had a steel fire pit in there that weighed about 50 pounds, and a toilet, and just anything you can think of was in this deck system, and it was extremely heavy. And I would mount a 30-pound bike on this mount right here, and on the other side, I would mount a 75-pound e-bike. So a lot of weight on the truck, and these heavy springs ate it up really well. I didn't lose any of my suspension when I was off-roading, so that was great. And it still had all the travel that I needed. But recently, I have taken out the deck system I've sold it because it was getting annoying for my day-to-day life. So no more deck system in this, and I'm not living out of it, so I don't have my bikes mounted up there all the time. So now I'm finding that the rear end is kind of a little jumpy on my day-to-day drives. I haven't adjusted the suspension yet. I'm actually going to try to, maybe this weekend, adjust out, because I just sold that deck system like 4 days ago. I might go ahead and try to adjust the rear suspension to compensate for that lack of weight, but I don't think I'm really going to be able to. I think I'm going to have to take one of those leaf springs out of that pack because it's just too much for the lack of weight that's in there. Now, later on in this truck's life, when I have a little bit more money, you know, sponsor me, Overland Vehicle Systems. You could always sponsor me and we can make this happen quicker. But I'm going to be putting a cap on here, one of those really rugged caps that are completely steel, and I'm going to mount the tent on top of that. So there's going to be some more weight on here. I think those caps weigh about, 200 pounds, something like that. And then I'm going to be switching out the tent for something a little bit more streamlined, but we're going to add a little bit more weight on here. I still don't think that 800-pound leaf pack is going to even care that I add another 100 pounds on. So I really think to get the performance back out of the rear end here, I'm going to have to take one of those leaves out, you know, one of these days. It's not super annoying. I don't know, I kind of ignore it, but it does feel a little jarring when you hit bumps. It's like, and the rear end kind of does a little skittle scattle. I don't know what I just said. You know what I'm saying though, right? I don't know. I'm a little tired. So on to the general quality of the Dobinson kit. In my opinion, it's holding up very well. I have not had any issues with this kit. They were extremely helpful when I installed it. They reached out on email. We talked on Instagram. They gave me some tips about how to install it. I haven't had any issues with the suspension. It's still performing fantastic, still performing as it did day one. There's some surface rust showing, but that's just because I live in the PA Rust Belt, so it's kind of to be expected. The powder coating on the product is still holding up really well. All the purple, all that anodized aluminum you see is still holding up good. It's not fading. There is some spots on the shocks themselves that are kind of bubbling up. It's like that plastic clear stuff that's kind of bubbling. So that does not look great, but you know, still holding up well. Surprisingly, the stickers they put on the upper control arms are still on there and haven't peeled off. I thought they would be peeled off and start chipping at least a weekend. So good job on the sticker quality, at least. That's kind of crazy. All in all though, the Dobinson kit is still holding up really good. I don't see myself upgrading in the future unless, you know, I blow the engine up, we end up throwing like a turbo LS in it, chopping the bed off, putting some extreme long travel and just going out and doing a Baja or something. That would be the dream, wouldn't it? But all in all, the Dobinson suspension is still fantastic. My dad drove my truck the other day and he fell in love with my truck. It's been the first time he's driven it in probably about a year, I'd say, give or take. And he drives a 2022 Tacoma and he's got Bilstein shocks in the rear, 5100s, and the stock off-road shocks up front. So when he hopped in this, he was like, man, you never realize how different your truck drives until you hop into something like this. So still very impressed with the Dobinson, and it still looks great and is holding up awesome. Completely unrelated, check out this thing I built last weekend, or a couple weekends ago. I started it and just finished it up last weekend. It's pretty awesome, right? So over here is a propane grill. Then on that side is a Blackstone. So now I'm able to cook up some steaks or chicken, whatever, and be able to do some vegetables up on that side. And then I have one propane tank down below and I'm running a splitter. Now it's not the best setup because you're running propane off one regulator into two separate things, and it works good enough for me. But I just wanted to show you guys this because I don't know what I'm doing with woodworking. It's like the first thing I ever really made, but I'm pretty happy about this. I think it turned out really cool. It's like an outdoor kitchen grill station. Let me know in the comments what you think about this thing, because I love it. Also, let me know down in the comments what suspension you're running on your Tacoma. Are you still running stock? Do you have any plans of upgrading your suspension in the future? I do love to hear from you guys. And if you like that little woodworking thing I did over there, I'm kind of dabbling in that as a hobby. I'm enjoying it. Ashley just got a remote job and I'm gonna have to build her a desk and I'm gonna have to build her a computer. So obviously I don't believe that belongs on this channel, but I do have another channel and I might do, you know, some pretty low effort. I'm not gonna put too much work into them because I don't really have anybody that watches me on my other channel because I don't really post on it. But if you would be interested in seeing that, it'll be on my other channel maybe, some low effort content, seeing some behind the scenes, because I am a guy who does weird things. I do a little bit of everything. But thank you for watching. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. It means a ton to me. We're on a road to 10,000 subscribers and gosh, dang it. If I don't grow hair by the time we hit 10,000 subscribers, I don't know what I'm going to do. That's weird outro. I'm out of here. Hit that like button, man. I'm done. I'm out of here.